This is a very, very special lightsaber video. This lightsaber is a Korbanth Graflex 2.5 from Korbanth Sabers. You know, they are manufactured by Parks for Korbanth. But Korbanth and the Custom Saber Shop are major distributors of the Graflex 2.5, which, you know, I'm a member on the Graflex Addict support group. I mean, I get, you know, all y'all's arguments about the accuracy of the Graflex 2.5, but I will say this. I own a TGS replica, TGS version 2 replica, and I like it, and it's accurate and everything, but when it really comes time for a tough saber, I really like the durability of these Graflex 2.5 kits. Now, this saber is for Randy Johnson, the owner of Korbanth. He wanted a Proffie Neopixel version of the Graflex 2.5. This is a Graflex 2.5 installed with Proffie and Neopixels. The Neopixel, it even has a Neopixel blade plug. Also, Randy asked for a crystal chamber reveal, and I've added a Goth3D Knight Chassis to this. For those of y'all that have seen the Let's Build a Graflex series, basically the Goth3D Knight Chassis is pretty much a golden go-to on these. Also, as in many of my other Proffie builds, I have added an on-off switch here in the clamp, which is underneath the clamp bar, so when the clamp bar is closed you can hardly even see the on-off switch, but there it is. So just briefly to show you all that working, and you turn it on.
Initializing. Weapon is armed.
Boom, you get the boot. And you turn. I'm going to turn it off because I want to show you the inside. So I'm going to remove the clamp, and we're going to back it off. Now it's tight, Randy. You know, the Goth3D Knight chassis on these 2.5s is kind of tight, but as time goes by, you know, the chassis will loosen up. I did sand it before I painted it, but even though I sanded it before I painted it, it's still pretty tight with the paint on there. So I did a custom paint job on this chassis. For those of y'all that don't know about these 3D chassis that are printed in plastic, is they actually come, you know, looking like this, or they'll be black. This is actually a chassis for a Phoenix Prop Star Killer by Goth3D Designs. Of course, the chassis in here is the Knight chassis for the Graflex 2.5. And as you can see, I've done a custom paint job on this chassis. The kill key is here in the rear. You have access to your SD card and to the programming port here at the rear of the chassis. This is Goth3D Designs' brand new Knight chassis that accepts the Proffie. And as you can see, I didn't have to modify the rear of this for the Proffie anymore like I did on my last Graflex Proffie build. The crystal chamber is illuminated by a Neopixel, and it mirrors the blade. I didn't really do anything crazy with that. And the blade plug, or I'm sorry, the glass eye is actually a replica glass eye from KR Sabers, and I've milled it down so that you can get shine through with leaving everything on the core of the 2.5 intact, so you can actually take the auxiliary red button, which I'll also send, and thread that into the same hole that it always would have threaded into, and you can kind of turn this into a quasi ESB Graflex as well. Randy requested this to be in TFA version, and you know, I did TFA, but I did do an updated glass eye so it looks a little bit better. I didn't put the brass tabs on there, but Randy, you can. But what I did do is I upgraded to slotted screws here and here in the clamp. I've kept the stock clamp card that the Graflex 2.5s come with. Randy, this can be replaced if you want, but I kept it stock. If you do replace this with some of the aftermarket clamp cards, some of those have to be sanded down, because also in this saber I've included clamp card switches, which I believe I'm using the stock through the clamp switch holder for the Graflex 2.5, and that works great with these stock cards, but when you get the aftermarket cards, sometimes they're tight. So you do have power and auxiliary switch in the clamp, but I also wired the red button. So the red button is wired as your power. So you have power either here or on the front of the clamp, and auxiliary is on the back of the clamp only. Other than that, I've kept everything else stock. The slide switch is the stock 2.5 slide switch. The pins are the stock pins. The clamp is the stock clamp. The clamp card is the stock clamp card that comes with the 2.5 kit. And then I've added the 2.5 chassis. This is equipped with a 18650 lithium ion rechargeable battery. This one is actually, the battery in the Saber is actually an Orbtronic. It's got a 10 amp cutoff. And I have also built for Randy Johnson a custom 7/8 Neopixel blade, which goes in there. And I've also built him a 7/8 Neopixel backed blade plug. So Randy, this is a complete Saber. It's pretty awesome. I hope you enjoy the demo, which is coming up next. But really quick, I'll show you the crystal chamber illuminated.
Initializing.
Oh yeah, I forgot. I added the Neopixel accent rings here in the back of the chassis, which spin up as you ignite the Saber. So when you ignite the Saber, the crystal lights up, and the accents here on the rear of the Saber, they spool up. The blade, the crystal chamber matches the blade, so whatever the blade's doing, the crystal chamber matches the blade. Trying to get that auxiliary switch to work here. There's your lockup. Blaster blocks. Clash. And as you deactivate the Saber, the crystal chamber goes off and the accents spool down. They spool down in a cycle. So there's the accent spooling down on the color cycle. When you change fonts,
Kind of feel I need to.
This is the weapon of a Jedi Knight.
Yes. The Cyber Project.
Prepare a boarding party.
so you know, with the crystal chamber being lit up by a Neopixel, it is basically RGB. I can make it, you know, any color I want. I try to make the accents in the rear of the pommel match whatever the blade color is. But the crystal chamber is blade matching, and the spool ups in the rear of the chassis just spool up to the blade color, but do not blade match on Clash or Blaster. They're merely just decorative. And again, you have activation here in the red button, or you also have activation here in the clamp. This Saber is programmed with SA2CC's button mod. That's Matt McGreary. It has his button mod. It has all kinds of other cool stuff, which I'll go over later in the instructional video. So let's get to the demonstration of this baby. Greetings, Saber fans. It's your old pal Megtooth Sith here. I got a demonstration here for you, and this is on Randy Johnson's Proffie Graflex 2.5. This is just such a cool Saber. I built the Saber, the blade, and a Neopixel blade plug for this. This blade is a Saber Experts 7/8 inch blade. It's the last one I have, and these things come out really awesome. It's a really long blade. Randy requested this length. It's a long one. So Randy, I hope you like this thing.
Initializing Saber.
I'm going to kill these lights here for the demonstration. So this one has activation on the front of the clamp card or on the red button. Auxiliary is on the rear of the clamp card. Here we go. First font. Graflex TFA. You got shine through on the glass eye. You have the full illuminated blade. Flash on flash. Whoa, look out. I'm kind of cramped. There's a car right behind me. Lock up. Blaster blocks. Force sound.
You're afraid that you will never be as strong as Darth Vader.
Retraction. Next font.
Something inside me has always been there. But now it's awake.
Broke flex. Little lighter shade of blue. Everything's smooth swing on this, by the way. I can't even spin it that way. Cramped. There's your clash. For tip drag, you point the Saber down, press and hold lock up. I don't know if you're going to be able to see it, but you got tip drag there. where just the very tip of the saber is in lockup. For normal lockup, you just press and hold auxiliary. Boom, you're in full lockup there. Force sounds, double click of the power button, which this one's all BB-8. You know, you can get a tune on each one by pressing and holding the power button before you ignite. Of course, you can ignite the saber with the music going. This Graflex is one of KSeth's finest fonts, by the way. I love it.
Young Ray.
Next one is Graflex again, but this one's special. The background music to this one, Rain. The blade is a rain blade. You can see it cools like when rain's hitting it. Of course, it's all still smooth swing. It's still KSeth's Graflex. Force sounds. Flash. Lockup. The rain effects are still happening in lockup. I don't know if that's going to show up on video. And also, you have tip drag there, which hopefully that's going to show up. Power off. Next font.
This is the weapon of a Jedi Knight.
Graflex 4. Smooth swing pairs that I wrote. Flash. Lockup. Blaster blocks. Bespin with smooth swings.
The Saber Project.
Alex Redmond's The Cyber Project. This font is awesome. Sounds like the car chase scene in the prequels. Freaking incredible. Blaster blocks.
The Saber Project.
This is Rogue One Vader by KSeth. Watch that spark tip ignition again. Freaking awesome. Blaster blocks. Lockup. Of course, it also has tip drag.
I'll show you the dark side.
This is Thauri's Kylo Ren blade, unstable fire blade, cross to KSeth's cross guard. It has traditional lock, has Frederick's initial program blaster blocks. Has Frederick's blaster blocks. Battery's dying in the Saber, so the amp keeps fading in and out. Balance to a purple blade.
The Saber Project.
Cyber Project to the rainbow blade. Of course, the rainbow blade has Cantina band on it, which, you know, that's fun for kids at parties and stuff. You gotta love it.
The Saber Project.
Cyber Project to my lightning blade.
Caliban.
Red cycle. I hit mute. I lit it in mute. My bad. And your battery meter, which you can see the battery's low, which that's why the amp's kind of acting screwy. But then we go to our first font.
TFA HD.
Look at that shine through on the glass eye. TFA Graflex for Korbanth. Randy Johnson. This freaking lightsaber is awesome. I'm going to turn it off. We'll have to charge it up when I get inside. If you'll stand by a second, we'll get to the demonstration on this video. The one thing I want to say about these sabers is, so all you people getting Proffies and teensy sabers, you know, purchase all the fonts you can. There's several font makers out there right now. Fonts by Fuerza, Alex Redmond or Prop Al Builders. You have KSeth and I believe Proplicator, Tom Leach, is making some smooth swing fonts, and there might be a couple others I'm missing, and I apologize. But everybody get out there and purchase all these fonts from all these font makers and help support them to make more Proffie smooth swing fonts. These fonts make these sabers awesome, and man, smooth swing is just incredible. And I know that Plector is going to be jumping on with some version of their own smooth type swing, and I'm sure that NEC will be sure to follow. But the custom lightsaber community is going strong, and I'm pretty proud to have built this saber for Randy. I'm proud that I got a chance to build him a Graflex 2.5, which is actually my favorite personal hilt. I love the 2.5s. I have a TGS version 2 replica. While I love the TGS and it's great for accuracy, it looks awesome on the shelf for swinging a saber around and making contact with other sabers and messing around with other people that have lightsabers by whacking blades. The 2.5 is just tough as nails. It's still a great hilt. I hope if Randy goes to redesign this thing, he does some consideration to keep the hilt as tough as the 2.5 is. I know there's been some stuff going on there about those Korbanth hilts, and I know he's modifying everything. But that's about it for the blade demonstration on Korbanth's Graflex. Randy, if you want any changes, send me an email. Otherwise, I'll pack the thing up and send it to you. Just zap me your address and I'll get it shipped off, hopefully soon. Everyone else, may the force be with you, or the dark side, as it were. So the final tidbit of instruction I want to go over here is how to get the blade in and out. Right now the blade plug is installed in this saber. The blade retention screw is right there, and you see the blade plug slide out. Once the blade plug begins sliding out, just pinch the bunny ears together and the blade plug will fall out. So here is your Graflex blade plug, which is backed with Neopixels. Now these spring connectors, this is a target like that's in your blade, and the blade connector actually has these pins on it. Now this one's a little bit different than the one in your saber because this is one of Dimitri Stock's lit Neopixel connectors, but it's the same principle. So when you insert the blade into the saber, it presses against these pins, and the pins touch corresponding points on the target, and the pins are spring loaded. So you can push on these things and you see they're spring loaded. So what happens is when you're putting the blade in the saber, you need to make sure that you're compressing those pins, and then you have to tighten the saber blade while those pins are being compressed. That keeps those pins in solid contact with the saber. But you don't want to twist this or jam it in there. Gently push the blade into the saber till those are under compression, and then while the spring is under compression, and you'll be able to feel it in the saber blade, you tighten the blade retention screw while that spring is under retention. So now I'm going to bring in your saber blade, and this is your saber blade, Korbanth, that I'm shipping you. And you gently insert it into the hilt and slide it in until you feel it on those springs compressing. And they just compress a little bit, and there they are, slightly compressed. And while I'm holding it in compression, I'm going to tighten the blade retention screw, and then I'm going to test to make sure the blade works, which it does. To remove the blade, simply loosen the blade retention screw here. Take the blade out of the saber, and then we want to put our Neopixel lit blade plug back in. You just slide the blade plug in through the bunny ears and get it into the hilt. And just like the blade, you have to hold I've cut the blade plug so it's exactly the length it has to be. So when you push it in compression, it should be flush inside the saber, and you tighten the blade plug or the blade retention screw while it's flush. And then boom, it's working. I know it's working because we got shine through on the glass eye. And the blade plug is illuminated. That's the last tidbit of instruction on your saber, Randy. Hope you like it.